All right, so for elimination, we're trying to solve with elimination. You're going to try adding first. I think that's going to be the easiest thing for us to do. Okay, if you're unsure, just try adding. So here you go. Let me just try adding. All right, so I'm going to add these things. So negative 4x plus 4x is 0, right? Because it's negative 4 plus 4. So that's going to be 0. So notice the x is actually going to cancel for this. All right, the x is going to cancel out. Negative 6y plus 5y is a negative y. Okay, so remember I'm going to be adding the y values. Negative 6y plus a 5y. The plus is that red plus on the outside. Okay, so negative 6y plus a positive 5y, that's a negative y. And then the last numbers at the end, the 2 and the 5, I'm going to say 2 plus a 5. Okay, that's going to be, that's going to be a 7. So if you divide by negative 1, you get y equals to negative 7. Now, remember, every time you solve one of these problems, you're supposed to get a point, right? Well, negative 7 is my y value. Now I need my x value. So I'm going to kind of do what I did with the other problems, just kind of put like a box that's dashed. Now you get to pick any one of those two equations, the top or the bottom, to plug in your negative 7. It's up to you. So if you don't want to make a decision, just plug it into the top one all the time. It doesn't matter, whichever one you want. So here we go. Let me plug it into the top equation. So negative 4x minus 6 times y, which is a negative 7, equals to 2. Again, this is the top equation, okay? Top equation. So notice how there's only one variable to solve for, the letter x. That's what I need, right? So this is going to be negative 4x plus 42 equals to 2. We'll subtract 42 on both sides. So that's going to give me negative 4x equal to negative 40. And if I divide both sides by negative 4, I'm going to get my answer. So dividing by negative 4, I get x equals 10. So I have my two values, my x and my y. So let me write them down. So x is 10, y is negative 7, and this is my solution. Okay, so that's what my answer is going to look like. Okay, this is what my work is going to look like. When you guys are doing this stuff, you're going to have two equations. Okay, you're going to either add or subtract. You get to choose. Now, like I said, in most cases, people sometimes they struggle. They're like, I don't know if I should be adding or subtracting. Well, just add. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then try subtracting, right? So in this case, we added. We did negative 4 plus a 4. That came out to 0, so we didn't write the x value anymore. Negative 6y plus 5y. That came out to a negative y. And then 2 plus 5 came out to 7. We divided both sides by negative 1 to get y equal to negative 7, right? Then we said, okay, I got to plug in that negative 7 into either this equation on top or the one on the bottom. So it's up to you, whichever one you want to. It doesn't matter. It's not wrong to plug it into the top one or the bottom one. The only thing that's wrong is if you plug it in and you don't work it out properly. Okay, then yeah, that gets it gets you into trouble. But plug it into anyone. If you can't decide, just put the top one. Who cares? I always pick the one that looks easiest. Okay, so maybe I would have picked the bottom one, but it doesn't matter. Okay, I think the bottom one looks easier because there's no negatives there, right? But who cares? Just plug it in. That's what I did. So I put negative 4x minus 6 times negative 7 equals to 2. Negative 6 times negative 7 is a positive 42. We move the 42 over to the right side. We got negative 4x equals to negative 40 divided by negative 4, and we got x equals to 10. Now we got our x value, our y value. So now I have a point, right? Our x, y. So I put that in, 10, negative 7 as my point, and that's my answer. Can you solve this by graphing? Yes, you can. You can solve both of them for y and graph them, and your answer should be 10, -7. But the chances that you hit that point based on your own graph on paper, it's a little hard because you got to draw perfect lines. Okay? So that's why graphing is not the best. Could you have solved this by substitution? Yes, you could have. All right? But sometimes questions like this are easier to solve using elimination. Okay, how do I judge whether I should do elimination or substitution? It's based on my coefficients right here. If I ever get x values that match, like right here there's a 4 and a 4, I know it's minus and plus, but that doesn't matter. But if they have like a 4 and a 4, then I try elimination first. That usually goes faster. Okay, but if nothing matches, then I can decide either way. So but you'll see right now when I do the next example, you'll see what I mean by matching stuff. So let me do another one like that. So example number 2, solve by elimination. And here's what the problem looks like. -x plus 2y equals 18. And 6x minus 2y is equal to -8. Now I want you guys to notice with this problem, it looks kind of like what we did with the substitution. Sometimes you have to solve for y, right? But in this problem, look at the numbers in front of my x's. Do they match -1 and 6? No. But look at the numbers in front of my y's. I got a 2 and a -2. Do they kind of match? Yeah, just that one's negative, the other's positive. Other than that, though, they are the same number. So to me, that's the key that tells me eliminate. If one of them has the same number, so the y values here have a 2 and a 2, I know it's plus or minus, but 2 and 2, that's the important thing. Then I know elimination would probably be the best way to do it. Okay, so matching numbers in the front. Who cares about their signs? Just the main numbers. So I know the x's don't match, but the y's do. Again, if you don't know whether you should add or subtract to eliminate, just try adding first. If it doesn't work, then you try subtracting. Okay? So we'll start with the x's. -x plus 6x, that's 5x. 2y plus -2y, that's 0. Well, 0y, which is 0. So notice I just eliminated a variable, right? That's why they call it elimination. And then my last numbers at the very end, 18 plus -8, that's 10. So all I got to do now is divide by 5, and I get my answer for x. X is equal to 2. I mean, do you guys think that's easier than the substitution stuff? A lot of my students say this is way easier than substitution. I actually still prefer substitution, but yeah, I can agree. It took less steps to find one piece. And now all I have to do is plug it in back into an equation and solve for the other letter. So I got to solve for y, okay? So I'm going to get that x equal to 2 and plug it into either the top or the bottom equation. You get to choose, but like I said, if you don't want to choose, just plug it into the top. Let's see what happens. So here we go. X is 2. So I'm going to plug it into the top equation. -2. Okay, I forgot to put a change in color there. -2 plus 2y equals to 18. All right, so that's me plugging in the 2 where the x goes on the very top. Now, that becomes -2 plus 2y equal to 18. I'm going to add 2 to both sides so I can start solving for y. So I get 2y is equal to 20. And now if I just divide everything by 2, I'll get my answer for y. So if I divide this by 2 and this by 2, I get y equals 10. And I'm done. So my answer here is 2, 10. Okay, so remember, get the two equations they gave you. They are telling you to use elimination, so just go ahead and add, right? They didn't say solve by any means necessary. Like, okay, well, then that means I can do elimination, I can do substitution, I can do graphing. Like, which one should I try? And let's just make sure that's a false alarm. I want to do 2 more with you guys, okay? And these are the ones that if you try adding, it doesn't work, so then you subtract, okay? So let me do example number 3. I was waiting for them to announce the false alarm, but solve by elimination. All right, so here we go. Negative 3x plus y equals 17. Negative 3x plus 7y equals 19. So do me a favor, guys. What I'm about to do, do not write it down, okay? Don't write down what I'm about to do right now, okay? Just watch so you can see how you know that it didn't work when I added, okay? So here we go. So don't write this down. I told you that all you have to do is just add. If you don't want to make a decision, just add. Let's see what happens. Negative 3x plus a negative 3x is a negative 6x. So notice nothing got eliminated there. Y plus 7y is a positive 8y. If my goal is to eliminate a variable, I failed. A variable is supposed to disappear. Has to. That's the whole point of elimination, right? Get rid of one, eliminate one. And notice I added and nothing happened. They're both still there. Sure, they're different numbers, but they're both still there. That's not helpful, okay? So now, if you want, you can now write this down. So since addition did not happen, right? Addition didn't give me the answers that I was looking for. Let me try subtraction. Now, subtraction is always a little trickier, so you might want to say it out loud when you do this, okay? So let's do the x's first. Negative 3x minus negative 3x. What's minus negative? That's a plus, right? That's a plus. So negative 3x plus 3x. That's 0, right? Like I heard you say 0, so that was the right solution. So that means the x's just got eliminated, right? Now let me go to the y's. Y minus 7y, negative 6y. Notice one of my variables disappeared, so that means I'm good. Okay? That's exactly what I want to happen. Okay? Now, 17 minus 19 is negative 2. And actually, you know what? I think I wrote the wrong number here. Let me fix this. Not 19. It should be 29. Make that a 29. I'm going to change the color to red here just to do the correction there. Okay, that should be a minus 29. Or else we're going to end up with a fraction, and that's not good. I don't want you guys to have to deal with fractions right now. So fix that really quick. 17 and a 29 at the end. So 17 minus 29 is a negative 12. And that'll work so much nicer because then I can divide by negative 6. Okay, so let's divide both sides by a negative 6. Sorry about that error there. So y equals to 2. So there you go. I got half my answer already. So now I just get to plug in that y value into any equation that I'd like. You can pick at the top or the bottom. I'm just going to stick with the top one. Like I said, if you don't want to overthink it, just go straight to the top equation. So let's plug it into the top. Negative 3x plus a 2 is equal to 17. Now that's just a positive 2, so let's get rid of it by subtracting by 2 on both sides. So that's negative 3x equals to 15. And then divide everything by negative 3. So x is equal to negative 5. And you're done. All you got to do is write it out as a point, and you're finished. So negative 5, comma 2 is my answer. So again, you try to do this by addition if you want to. If you don't want to think about it and ask yourself, which way should I do it, adding or subtracting, you can always just try adding. But when you add, if one of your variables does not get eliminated, because remember, this is called elimination. If one of them does not get eliminated, then it's wrong. So say, okay, it's not addition, it must be subtraction. Okay? Once you change it, you'll notice one of them usually does get eliminated, in which case you can start solving, in our case for y, excuse me. And then once you get that y value, plug it into any one of the two equations. It's up to you. I just plugged it into the top one just out of pure laziness of wanting to think which one I want to do, right? I'll just go straight to the top. Plugged it in, and we solved for x. We got our two answers, so we put it in as a point. Now, usually at this point, people say, well, is there a way to know whether I should add or subtract? Okay, there actually is. So, let me show you up here. So over here, you notice how the x got eliminated for example 1, right? Notice how the 4's are different signs, okay? So if they're different signs only, right? So they're 4, 4, but one is negative, one is positive. Adding will work. So if they're different signs, adding will work. Look at the one we just did. Negative 3 and negative 3. They're the same, right? They're identical. So if they're identical, you subtract. Okay, so if the numbers in the front, or whatever, your x or your y coefficients as they're called, if they differ just by a sign, so let's say one is a negative 3, one is a positive 3. If they're different by signs, then add. If they're the same sign, like right here, negative 3, you subtract. Okay, so I'm just going to do one more of these things for you guys, and then we'll be done. Again, no homework for tonight. So let's see, example number 4, eliminate, solve by elimination. I mean, I could give you the homework if you want, and I can tell you which ones to do that are the easier ones if you'd like. I can do that, and that way you can get half of it done. Or we can wait. I mean, we'll take a vote. Let's see what you guys decide. Okay? Either way, you're going to get the assignment, so you're not escaping it or anything. It's just, it's up to you. So we're going to do one of these by elimination. So let's try this one here. 6x plus 8y equals to negative 8. And negative 10x plus 8y equals to negative 8. So remember, you want to know whether you should add or subtract. Which variable has the same number? Is it x or y? The y. Now, are they exactly the same, or are they different by sign? They're exactly, they're both positive, right? So if you remember what I told you, if they're exactly the same, you subtract them. Okay? So you would want to do subtraction here. All right? If you do addition, don't write this down, okay? Don't write this down, what I'm about to do. If you do addition, 6x plus negative 10x, that's a negative 4x. 8y plus 8y, that's 16y. Notice no variable disappeared, right? We want the variable to disappear. So addition did not work for us. Okay, so then we try subtraction. So 6x minus a negative 10x. What does that come out to? Negative. Sorry? Negative 4. Not negative 4. Think about what I said. 6x minus negative 10x. What does minus negative become? That's a plus, right? So I'm really adding 6 plus 10. That's 16x. Remember how I told you the subtraction is always the tougher one because you got to carry that symbol when you're going through it. So that's why I say it out loud. Even when I do it like myself, I literally will say 6x minus negative. Minus negative is plus. So that's 6 plus 10, right? So I'm saying it out loud so I don't mess up, okay? Because, yeah, I see negative 4x. I get it, right? If it was addition, it'd be a negative 4. But, all right, and then 8y minus 8y, well, that's 0. And then negative 8 minus a negative 8, what is that? That's 0, right? Because negative 8 plus 8, that's what that is, right? So that's going to be 0. So if we divide by 16, I get 0. All right, so x equals 0. Now I get to plug that into any other equation. So we'll just go with the top one just to stick with what we've been doing. So x is going to be 0. So 6 times 0 plus 8y is equal to negative 8. Well, 6 times 0 is 0. So I don't have to worry about that. All I have left is 8y equal to negative 8. So divide both sides by 8, and you're pretty much done. We get y equal to negative 1. Okay? Y is equal to negative 1. So I got my two values. So let's put them as a point, and I'm done. 0, negative 1.